अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, टीटीवी न्यूज़ डिजिटल में आपका इस्तकबाल है।
इन्फेक्शन की पहले ही शिनाख्त और कंट्रोल के इक़दामात नागुज़ीर। मरीज़ को ऑपरेशन या इलाज से कबल बैक्टीरिया से पाक रखने पर तवज्जो ज़रूरी। लीवर सर्जरी मरीज़ों से मुताल्लिक़ तहक़ीक़ में तशवीशनाक इंकशाफ़ात। प्रोफेसर टॉम चेरियन व दिगर का खिताब। साउथ एशियन लीवर इंस्टीट्यूट की लीवर ट्रांसप्लांट टीम ने 2.5 साल पर मुश्तमिल एक रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव स्टडी के नतायज पेश किए हैं, जिसमें एक नीम शहरी टायर 2 कस्बे के 67 मरीज़ों का जायज़ा लिया गया। तहक़ीक़ के मुताबिक लीवर सर्जरी मरीज़ों में बैक्टीरियाई इन्फेक्शन की शरह 24% पाई गई, जिनमें ज़्यादातर केसेस ग्राम निगेटिव बैक्टीरिया से मुताल्लिक़ थे। इस तहक़ीक़ के प्राइमरी इन्वेस्टिगेटर और हेड ऑफ ट्रांसप्लांट सर्जरी प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर टॉम चेरियन ने बताया कि तशवीशनाक तौर पर 16 में से 15 मुस्बित बैक्टीरिया 94% पहली और दूसरी सतह की एंटीबायोटिक्स के ख़िलाफ़ मज़ाहिमत रखते थे। कुछ केसेस में तीसरे दर्जे की अद्वियात के ख़िलाफ़ भी मज़ाहिमत देखी गई, जबकि चंद बैक्टीरिया आखिरी हद की दवाओं के ख़िलाफ़ भी मज़ाहिमत के हामिल थे। 16 में से 9 मरीज़ 56% के प्री ऑपरेटिव ब्लड कल्चर में पहले ही बैक्टीरिया की मौजूदगी ज़ाहिर हो चुकी थी, जिससे साबित होता है कि ये मरीज़ अस्पताल में दाखिल होने से कबल ही इन्फेक्शन के साथ पहुँचे थे और इन तमाम केसेस में बैक्टीरिया MDR थे। अपनी गुफ्तगू के अख्तिताम पर प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर टॉम चेरियन ने पुरजोर अंदाज में कहा कि यह तहक़ीक़ इस बात की जानिब इशारा करती है कि सोच में बुनियादी तब्दीली की ज़रूरत है। गुज़िश्ता 100 साल की तालीमात, इन्फेक्शन कंट्रोल की हिकमत अमलियाँ और WHO की पॉलिसियाँ हमेशा मरीज़ तक इन्फेक्शन की मुंतकिली को रोकने पर मरकूज़ रहीं, मगर जब 50% से ज़्यादा मरीज़ खुद MDR इन्फेक्शन के साथ अस्पताल पहुँच रहे हैं तो ये इक़दामात बेमाने हो जाते हैं। अब ज़रूरी है कि ऐसे फ़ाल इन्फेक्शन को पहले ही शिनाख्त करके कंट्रोल किया जाए और मरीज़ को ऑपरेशन या इलाज से कबल बैक्टीरिया से पाक किया जाए। ये कौमी सतह का बहरान है और इस पर फौरी तवज्जो की ज़रूरत है, जिसमें आवाम समेत तमाम स्टेक होल्डर्स को किरदार अदा करना होगा। इस मौके पर लीवर क्रिटिकल केयर कंसल्टेंट और सब इन्वेस्टिगेटर डॉक्टर ए गोगी नेनी ने भी तफसीलात पेश की।
know each other quite well. I know many of you for many years. I think the main thing I want to say today that it is why are we talking about antibiotics and microbial resistance? This is of great importance to a lot of people. People don't know it, but it is going to affect all of us sitting in this room in the next 10 to 15 years are going to be affected by this. So approximately about maybe 2 years ago, we did a little bit of a research into what is happening to our patients, and lot of patients was dying from liver disease, from infections. That was the problem. Liver patients were dying from infections, and infections were the number one cause of death in transplant centers. That is why we started this study. So in these 2.5 years, nearly 27, 28 months, what we did is we took every patient who came to our hospital for a liver transplant, and we looked at the time that they entered the hospital, not inside the hospital, not after the operation, when they entered the hospital, what infection did they have? So we did a culture study. Then we did cultures when we needed it also. Now, this is where really scary, amazing facts are coming to light. Number one, approximately 30% of people were having infections at some time during the transplant process. 30%. That means if we do it in 3 patients, one of them is going to get an infection. That itself is scary. The second thing is we found 19 bacteria in 19 patients, different bacteria. But 17 of these 19 bacteria were resistant to the first line and second line of antibiotics, and we were only left with the third line, which is so scary because we don't have many lines. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4. After 4, we have no lines. So that is the second most scary part about what we found. 17 out of 19 patients had resistant organisms. The third scary thing was We know about resistance for the last 10-15 years, but what we don't know is what are we resistant to. So first line is beta-lactamase, cephalosporins, penicillins. Second line is magnexfort and a few other augmented antibiotics. Third line is carbapenem. Till today, we did not know that so many patients have got resistance to even carbapenems. And that is something new in the study, the level of carbapenem resistance in the community. The last, and I think the most scary part about our study is 9 out of 10 patients, 9, that means 90% and above of the patients who came from the community had this. So till now, antibiotic resistance was in the hospital. So what we would do is we would find these organisms inside the hospital, and then we would isolate the patients from other patients, etc. But now they are coming from outside into the hospital with these organisms inside them. That creates a problem, because till now what were we doing? We should protect these patients, we'll keep them inside isolation rooms. But what is the use of keeping patients inside isolation rooms if they already have the problem? It is like a thief being kept with the gold. There is absolutely no use. Therefore, now we have to shift to a new system where we first find out if these patients are having transplant, the transplant patients are having an infection maybe 5 days before they come in. If they're having an infection, then we have to cure that infection or at least start the treatment before we bring them in for a transplant. So these are the four, I would have thought, most important findings from this study. And I think it reconfirms what other people have said. The Lancet has got an article, very important article last year on antibiotic resistance. And this finding reconfirms what was found in the Lancet. So I think that's why we felt that it is so important to have a press conference about this. Such data does not exist till now. Transplant patients are special patients because they need immunosuppression. Because of the immunosuppression, they are under great risk of getting infections. And therefore, in this cohort, in this group of patients, till now, there has not been a study from a rural part of India. This was conducted in Vijayawada, and because our team operates in Vijayawada also, and so we felt it is important to tell everyone about it and how to get the government involved. One of the patients had what is known as an Elizabethan. That's a bacteria that affects the brain lining. Now, this patient was a donor who came from outside with that infection. Now, it is well known that this infection is spread by water. So, this patient had been swimming in the swimming pools and then developed it from the swimming pool. And now we got an infected donor. And if we had not done these tests, we would have never known. So, because we did it, we were able to find it and treat it. So, I think everybody needs to know all of these things. And one last point that everybody should also know, the last new antibiotic that was discovered in 1987. I don't know anything that I am using or you're using that was first found or discovered in 1987. So since 1987, there is no new antibiotic. So if all the antibiotics that we have is resistant, then what choice do we have? That's why I said at the beginning, when we are 60 or 70 and when we are in ICUs, there will not be antibiotics that will be effective if we don't change what we do today.